Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, sir. What a weird, I don't know. I couldn't
I,
find the link. I thought that I could just scroll up in my chat history, but it was so far back because it's been
yeah,
so
the chat
long.
history, it wasn't too far back in the event history, but um, yeah, if you say you're going to come, like RSVP, I'll send you the link every single time to your personal messenger. How are you feeling? Zivi said that you had a cold.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. I took one day off of work yesterday and it fucking sucks because I had to cancel Radha Prithi's house, which I really did not want to do, but like
Yeah.
really it was in everyone's best interest that I didn't go.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
know
you don't
people
have
hate
COVID or anything, right?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there's going to be a pretty good on Thursday. There's going to be a pretty good kirtan because Michael's new guru is going to be there.
Oh, that's right.
That would be what's his name? Uh,
Uh, I know. I'm like, Baba Ram Dass. Like, I'm like,
no,
wait,
no, no.
Mahatma.
Mahatma Das. He's pretty awesome. I was listening to one of his videos, and he said everybody is like a little Hiranyakashipu. We're all running around doing our demon thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab a hanky, but I'm still
Okay.
here. Did you guys go to Radha's house?
Ziva did.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to start here.
Okay.
We're almost at the end of the second chapter. You everybody see that now?
Hold on. Yeah. Padma
Okay.
Purana also. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, you can start out reading from that top line there, Alyssa.
In the Padma Purana?
Yes.
Okay, in the Padma Purana, also the same process is advised. There it is said that one should always remember Lord Vishnu. This is called dhyana or meditation, always remembering Krishna. It is said that one has to meditate with his mind fixed upon Vishnu. Padma Purana recommends that one always fix his mind on the form of Vishnu by meditation and not forget him at any moment. And this state of consciousness is called samadhi or trance.
Go ahead, Zoe.
Wait, hold, I'm sorry, my son called me. 1 second.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to?
Yeah, if you can
I'll
start.
I'll I'll read the next paragraph. We should always try to mold our activities and of our lives in such a way that we will constantly remember Vishnu or Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness, whether one concentrates his mind on the four-handed form of Vishnu or on the two-handed Krishna, it's the same. Actually, it's not the same for the gopis. The gopis prefer the two-handed form of Krishna. Krishna transformed himself into his four-handed Vishnu form, and he said, "My dear sir," the gopis were looking for Krishna, and they said, "Where's Krishna? Maybe he." They thought that Vishnu knew. They thought it was Vishnu, but they didn't want him. They wanted Krishna, because they have a special relationship with him only. The Padma Purana recommends somehow or other always think of Vishnu without forgetting him and under any circumstances. Actually, this is the most basic of all regulative principles. For when there is an order from a superior about doing something, there is simultaneously a prohibition. When the order is to always remember Krishna, the prohibition is that one should never forget him. With this simple order and prohibition, all regulative principles are found complete. So whenever you're doing something, if you're remembering Krishna within that occupational duty and you're attracted to his message and you're remembering him, then it's good. If you forget him, then it's bad. I mean, everything is based on that. It's just very simple. It's black and white. Go ahead, Alyssa or Zoe. You can read now, right?
Yeah. Um,
Regulative principle.
this regulative principle is applicable to all varnas and ashramas, the caste and occupation of life. There are four varnas, namely The Brahmanas, priests and intellectuals, the Kshatriyas, warriors and statesmen, the Vaishyas, businessmen and farmers, and the Sudras, laborers and servants. There are also 4 standard ashramas, namely brahmachari, student life, grasta, householder, vanaprastha, retired, and sannyasa, renounced. The regulative principles are not only for the brahmacharis, celibate students, to follow, but are applicable for all. It doesn't matter whether one is a beginner, a brahmachari, or is very advanced, a sannyasi. The principle of remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly and forgetting him at any moment is meant to be followed by everyone without fail.
Go ahead, Alyssa. I'm going to
Okay.
scroll up here a little bit.
If this injunction is followed, then all other rules and regulations will automatically fall into line. All other rules and regulations should be treated as assistants or servants to this one basic principle. The injunctions or rules and regulations and their resultant reactions are mentioned in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th chapter, verses 2 and 3. Kamasa Muni, one of the 9 sages who came to instruct King Nimi, addressed the king and said, "The 4 social orders, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, have come out of the different parts of the universal form of the Supreme Lord as follows. Brahmanas have come out from the head, Kshatriyas have come out from the arms, Vaishyas have come out from the waist, and Sudras have come out from the legs. Similarly, the sannyasis have come out from the head, the vanaprasthas from the arms, the grastas from the waist, grihastas from the waist, and the brahmacharis from the legs."
These different orders of society and grades of spiritual advancement are conceived in terms of qualification. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the 4 social orders and the 4 spiritual orders are created by the Lord himself in terms of different individual qualities. As the different parts of the body have different types of activities, so the social orders and spiritual orders also have different types of activities in terms of qualification and position. The target of these activities, however, is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, quote, "He is the supreme enjoyer," end quote. So, whether one is a Brahmana or a Shudra, one has to satisfy the Supreme Lord by one's activities. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam by a verse that reads, quote, "Everyone must be engaged in his particular duty, but the perfection of such work should be tested by how far the Lord is satisfied with such activities," end quote. The injunction herein is that one has to act according to his position, and by such activities one must either satisfy the Supreme Personality or else fall down from one's position. It's always really good meditation to try to always think am I pleasing Krishna? How can I actually serve Krishna? How can I, please his senses instead of my own senses? We're always thinking, eat this, drink that. All the billboards when we're driving down the road say, eat this, drink this, smoke this. And, and here we are with our little recycling bin and we're just sighing, but the thing is, everybody's trying to serve their senses in this degraded civilization. But the whole point of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, actually in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, the point of Bhagavad Gita as it is to serve Krishna's senses, try to please his senses instead of our senses. And because we're putting this forward as the main doctrine of the Bhagavad Gita, therefore it's successful. They've sold hundreds of millions of copies of that book. And no other book, previously, everybody had their own interpretation, but Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is as it is, as Krishna's saying it. We don't have to, he always says, I have not manufactured everything. This is Bhagavad Gita as it is. So, let's see here.
Can I ask?
So you can read for example?
Liz has a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can ask. You don't want me to wait?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll lower my hand. Speaking of pleasing Krishna, I've been kind of getting the sense through reading Devamrita Swami's book, Searching for Vedic India, that a lot of the reason why and this is just my hot take since I've been reading his book, a lot of the reason why there's such a focus on pleasing Krishna is because like a lot of our experiences with the five senses in this material world are so shallow and so like false. These are my own words, right? Not his words, but it seems like when we call Krishna the supreme enjoyer, he's the one who's actually like, he's using his senses, right? We think we're using ours, but he's really using his. And so what we're doing is actually kind of like it's like in the shadows, you know? And so like when we try to like do things using, you know, food with prashadam or incense or like smelling the flowers during arti and things like that, dancing for him, singing for him, those are all like going back to how he has those real senses. Like because correct me if I'm wrong, but we're trying to get away from the concept of like no face, no body, no personality, no just like, you know, whatever, you know, void that other like traditions talk about.
Yeah.
We're talking about him as like a person just like us. And so his senses matter more than ours.
Yeah, I mean, when you please, just like when a servant serves a king, if the king is pleased, the servant is already automatically pleased, you know, and just Krishna, you know, when he's in the spiritual world, he's enjoying like anything because he's God. And, you know, he's got all of his friends and lovers. And, but he feels a lacking because all of these separated entities who are his parts and parcels are not in the spiritual world. And he wants to awaken them for enjoyment like his other wives that are awake or other parts and parcels that are awake. So he wants to awaken them. And so he wants everybody to come back to God. That's his desire. So if we take one step toward Krishna, Krishna takes 10 steps toward us. And, you know, so we just have to be aware of his desires and then try to fulfill his desires the way he wants it, not the way we want it. If Krishna asks for a glass of water, or if the spiritual master asks for a glass of water, you don't bring him a glass of milk. Don't concoct anything. Just do exactly what Krishna tells you. And then that's the second class servant, is one who does as he's told. The first class is one who understands what Krishna wants even before he's asked. That is a first class servant. So if you can really, if you're in tune to Krishna's, like, you know, on a moment to moment basis, understanding what Krishna wants, you can figure out. I mean, the most advanced devotee is always trying to figure out how to execute the message and the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this planet. Because Mahaprabhu wants everybody to chant the holy name. And he wants everyone to, you know, be happy. And so the only way living entities can be happy is if they are Krishna conscious. So it's very, very pleasing to Krishna if we preach this message to others. And so if you really want to please Krishna, just do as Lord Chaitanya asks, you know, just try to educate everyone in the Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this way become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in the land. That's his order. If you execute his order, Krishna will come right up to you and shake your hand, because that's pleasing to him. It's very pleasing. He says, "No one is more dear to me than one who preaches this message to my devotees, nor will there ever be one more dear." So if you want to be dear to Krishna, do that. And that's the way to please Krishna. But we should always be thinking, you know, everything, you know, any kind of thing that we do during the day. If I'm counting something, I'm counting for Krishna. If I'm pressing a button in the factory, I'm doing this for Krishna. If I'm walking, I'm just making sure. Just like Prabhupada was a spiritual master, and everything he did was for Krishna, and his movements and his activities and his demeanor was so beautiful and graceful because he was always pleasing Krishna. He was very dear to Krishna, and so everything he did was just beautiful. So we can also be like that. but we have to become purified because we're all so polluted by all of our, you know, separate desires, which are sinful. If you're not completely surrendered to Krishna, then you have your own alternative, you know, agenda, and that's just going to cause suffering because if you think you have a better idea than Krishna does, that means you're really fucking puffed up.
Yeah.
So we have to actually be humble, and humble means to understand that Krishna always has a better idea. You know, like it's that advertisement, Ford. Ford has a better idea. No, Krishna has a better idea. You know, especially Ford. Henry Ford was a Nazi. He doesn't have a better idea. The Nazis are taking over again. But anyway, that's how to please Krishna, is just do what he wants, and he wants everybody to preach, and he wants everybody to be happy, and he wants everybody to go back to Godhead. So the only way to do that is to preach the holy name and to chant it, purify ourselves first. I mean, you don't even have to purify yourself first. If you start opening your mouth and chanting and telling others about Krishna according to his pleasure and according to his desire, you know, then he will give you more and more empowerment to do that. It's like Arjuna was empowered to kill everybody on that battlefield, and he didn't get hurt. It's like in the movies, you know, the hero never gets hurt, even though everybody's shooting at him. You know, somehow or other, Arjuna was saved because he was, you know, guided by Krishna's grace. So we can also do that, and we can do unbelievable things if we just surrender to Krishna, because he can do anything. He can make a lame man cross a mountain. He can make a blind man see. He can do anything. And so all we have to do is grab onto that mercy in a moment-to-moment way, try to please him. And if he's pleased by that surrender, he'll give you more.
Yeah.
A karmi, he wants less work and more pay. A devotee wants less pay and more work. It's just exactly the opposite. And so that's what the devotee is. You know, like the bars start opening around 10 o'clock. You know, for me and my wife, we're in bed like at 9 o'clock because she's got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. You know, so 9 o'clock is the new midnight for us. You know, so what's day for the enlightened sage is night for the conditioned soul. What's night for the conditioned soul is dawn for the enlightened sage. It's just exactly the opposite. So that's what's pleasing to Krishna, to be on the side of the light, not on the side of darkness, on the side of pleasing him instead of our own selfish desires. It's really frustrating because no sense gratification of our own can satisfy us, no matter how much we try. And everybody's been trying since time immemorial to satisfy their senses, but it's not going to work. It never has worked. Or to like put all the pleasure on one side of the table and then take all the pain off the other side of the table. Emerson talked about that. He said, you know, to try to divide everything like that according to the duality of the material world, it's like putting your hand through the water. The water reunites behind his hand. There's no more possibility of doing that than you can have light without darkness or an inside without an out. You know, it's the duality of the material world. Where there's pleasure, there's pain. But if you surrender to Krishna, it's all bliss. And then we don't, you know, there's no resistance. You know, like if you're connected to Krishna, it's like a copper wire. If there's no resistance, it doesn't heat up, and then the energy flows spontaneously. But if you're not connected, if you're doing your own thing, then there's always frustration, because that's not our natural position. Our natural position is eternal servant of Krishna, or actually of the devotees. You know, dasa dasa anudas. We're servants of the servants of the servants of Radharani, who is serving Krishna. So that's our constitutional position. Whoever can read the next paragraph, I don't know exactly where we are here.
Oh man.
For example, a brahmana who is born out of the head of the Lord, has as his business to preach the transcendental Vedic sounds, or Shabda Brahma. Because the Brahmana is the head, he has to preach the transcendental sound, and he also has to eat on behalf of the Supreme Lord. According to Vedic injunctions, when a Brahmana eats, it is to be understood that the personality of Godhead is eating through him. It is not, however, that the Brahmana should simply eat on behalf of the Lord and not preach the message of Bhagavad Gita to the world. Actually, one who preaches the message of the Gita is very dear to Krishna, as is confirmed in the Gita itself. Such a preacher is factually a Brahmana, and thus by feeding him, one feeds the Supreme Lord directly.
That's just what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, Allysa, you can read next paragraph.
Similarly, the Kshatriya has to protect people from the onslaughts of Maya. That's his duty. For example, as soon as Maharaja Parikshit saw that a black man was attempting to kill a cow, he immediately took his sword, wanting to kill the black man whose name was Kali. That is the Kshatriya's duty. Violence is required to give protection. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna directly gave his order to Arjuna to commit violence on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, just to give protection to the people in general.
The Vaishyas are meant for producing agricultural products, trading them and distributing them. And the working class, or Shudras, those who haven't the intelligence of the Brahmanas or the Kshatriyas or the Vaishyas, and therefore are meant to help these higher classes by bodily labor. In this way, there is full cooperation and spiritual advancement among all the different orders of society. And when there is no such cooperation, the members of society will fall down. That is the present position in the Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel. Nobody's doing his duty, and everyone is simply puffed up by calling himself a Brahmana, intellectual, or a Kshatriya, soldier, or statesman. But actually, such people are without status. They are out of touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are not Krishna conscious. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is intended to set the whole of human society in proper condition so that everyone will be happy and take profit from developing Krishna consciousness. Go ahead, Allysa.
Okay. Lord Sri Krishna instructed Uddhava that by following the injunctions of the social and spiritual orders of human society, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a result of such satisfaction, the whole society gets all the necessities of life amply and without difficulty. This is because, after all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead maintains all other living entities. If the whole society performs its respective duties and remains in Krishna consciousness, there is no doubt that all of its members will live very peacefully and happily. Without wanting the necessities of life, the whole world will be turned into Vaikuntha, a spiritual abode. Even without being transferred to the kingdom of God, by following the injunctions of Srimad Bhagavatam and prosecuting the duties of Krishna consciousness, all human society will be happy in all respects.
Go ahead, Zoe.
There is a similar statement by Sri Krishna himself to Uddhava in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 27th chapter, verse 49. The Lord says there, "My dear Uddhava, all persons are engaged in activities, whether those indicated in the revealed scriptures or ordinary worldly activities. If by the results of either such activities they worship me in Krishna consciousness, then automatically they become very happy within this world as well as in the next. Of this there is no doubt. We can conclude from the statement by Krishna that activities in Krishna consciousness will give everyone all perfection and desires." Thus, the Krishna consciousness movement is so nice that there is no need of even designating oneself Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmachari, Gasta, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi. Let everyone be engaged in whatever occupation he now has. Simply let him worship Lord Krishna by the result of his activities in Krishna consciousness. That will adjust the whole situation, so everyone will be happy and peaceful within the world. In the Narada Pankaratra, the regulative principles of devotional service are described as follows. Any activity sanctioned in the revealed scriptures and aiming at the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are accepted by saintly teachers and the regulative principles of devotional service. If one regularly executes such service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead under the direction of bona fide spiritual master, then gradually he rises to the platform of serving in pure love of God.
I like that sentence there. Any activity sanctioned by the revealed scriptures and aiming at the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are accepted by saintly teachers as the regulative principles of devotional service.
Be
I
like
mean,
bowling.
it's all broadly, it's broad, but it's very simple. Whatever is favorable, you accept. Whatever is unfavorable, you reject. But any activity, any thought, any kind of like, if it's in line with the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then it's okay. I mean, even though Prabhupada said, this writing is even in the beginning of Bhagavatam, it says this literature, even though imperfectly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So every kind of activity, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that any thought is, if it's done in that direction toward the pleasure of Krishna for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and sanctioned by the revealed scriptures, then that thought is progressive. And you can't like throw it out and start something new. Like a lot of people say, all these old scriptures, they're just like old and moldy. We have to like throw it all out and start from scratch. But that's not how it works. Any kind of thought, any thought is progressive, and you have, instead of throwing it out, you have to start from where you left off and then build on it. Otherwise you have to go from the very beginning. You have to start all over again. And that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur was talking about when he wrote this book called, a little pamphlet called The Notes on the Bhagavad, that a lot of his contemporaries in the 19th century, they would think, all the college students in his era were thinking, this old scripture, the Bhagavatam, is just so archaic. We have to throw the whole thing out and start from scratch. But that's not the way. Truth is not, if you have truth, truth is truth, no matter how old. And it always applies in all circumstances to all times and places and people. So it's really a very broad-minded approach to everything. I mean, you can include everything, even worldly activities, if they're sanctioned by the way, if it's good for Krishna's service, you can even just like Raghunath Das Goswami, he had to engage in a little bit of worldly activity in order to get out of his situation, and he had to be involved in diplomacy and things like that. Usually a pure devotee like that is only interested in Krishna consciousness, but a devotee is expert in everything. He has to be expert in everything. And Bhaktisiddhanta, Śrīla Prabhupāda's spiritual master, he could talk about anything, and then, he could always relate it to Krishna consciousness by turning it around and looking at it through the light of the scripture. And so he could talk to anybody about any topic, and we should also be like that. We should also be able to judge things on the basis of how they're pleasing Krishna and what is the best way. My spiritual master always used to repeat this mantra: how can I serve you best now, my Lord? So that is what we should be always meditating on. And then it's not like you surrender and then it's it. You don't have to do anything anymore. No, it's a moment-to-moment thing. And there's always that relationship there. And we should never be lazy or kind of like not doing anything. We should always be active in service to Krishna the way he wants to be served, and try to please him, because if he's pleased, then there's nothing more to do. I mean, that is then you just please him more and more, and Krishna is happy and we're happy, and the whole world can be happy if they just execute these principles of this Nectar of Devotion. This is like the basic thing. We read the whole chapter. It's done now. But this was the first stages of devotion. The next chapter is chapter 3, eligibility of the candidate for accepting devotional service. And I think we're just going to, if you have any questions, we're just going to leave it there because we're supposed to keep it down to 45 minutes.
All right.
But does anybody have any question or comment?
No. Thank you. Sorry, I've been away for a while. I just needed to chill out.
Sometimes you have to recharge your batteries and press the reset button.
Thanks for understanding. It's like, yeah, I'm glad I got a new job. The thing that sucks is that it's
Where did
only
you get the job? Where did you get a job?
Woodland Hills School District. It's a school.
Oh, so you're still doing the vocal
Yeah, speech. That. Yeah, that.
yeah, that.
Yeah, I just was thinking today, I think sometimes I've kind of fallen, and that's why I felt like I needed to come back, especially today, because I've been even though I'm happy that I got a job, I'm worried that it's not gonna pay enough or that I'm not gonna have a job after this job, and it's just a never-ending spiral of insecurity. And it's making me jealous of other, particularly women who don't have to worry about money.
Right. Well,
And
you're single. You're a single woman.
yeah, that's the thing. And nobody ever talks to you about this, but it's if you're a single woman, you lose. You just lose financially, compared to all of
It's
our
not
other
the same
cohorts.
as for a woman as it is for a man. Because the men, they first of all they get paid more.
They're paid more. They're
Yeah, and
paid
that's
more.
not
They
fair. I
don't.
mean, they tried to pass through the Equal Rights Amendment, and that didn't work. And so we're a long way to go. Even in ISKCON, even the devotees, they tried to pass this thing where women could be gurus. There's a lot of qualified women in this movement, and they made an amendment to the ISKCON whatever it is, and then some devotees in India just objected and said no, they can't be women, and so they just put that on the shelf for now. But Lord Chaitanya's movement is very broad, and it even Lord Chaitanya accepted the Muslim like Haridas Thakur and all the Goswamis. The Sanatana and Rupa Gosvāmī were both associated with Muslims, therefore they were outcasts in the Brahminical society. Even though they were Brahmanas, they were considered outcasts back then. Even if you touch a Brahman, if you are employed in the service of a Muslim, you're considered an outcast. But Lord Chaitanya accepted all of them, and he elevated Haridas Thakur to the position of the Acharya of the holy name.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thakur was the one that was Muslim.
Yeah, he was born a Muslim. He was actually Lord Brahma himself.
Yeah.
He was born in a Muslim family, and Lord Chaitanya elevated him, and he was so humble that he wouldn't even go into the temple, and he would always walk around the temple grounds through the hot burning sand. I mean, all these devotees were so humble. Raghunath Das, he wouldn't beg food. He would go and sometimes he would take the grains from the leftovers from the market. But then he started being more renounced. He would take the grains that were left over from the cows when the cows wouldn't eat it. It was old and moldy. And he would rinse it off and eat that. And Lord Chaitanya was noticing this. And he went up to him and he said, I heard you were eating some really good rice and stuff. You're just eating like a king. Give me some of that. And so Lord Chaitanya wrestled it out of his hand, this old moldy rice, and he ate it, because he was just really impressed with Raghunath Das's austerity and renunciation. And so, if those six Goswamis were ideal people, but what I'm saying is everybody is included in Krishna consciousness. It's not like
Yeah, I know. I know there's some hang-ups with ISKCON internationally and even domestically.
it's the way it is.
I'm just saying because of the inequalities in our country, because of late stage capitalism and whatever,
And they're getting rid of.
I feel like it's really hard to continue to practice 24/7 when you just like feel resentful.
Yeah, I mean it's hard it's hard to get ahead, especially if you're like, can you imagine like they're getting rid of this DEI. You see my hat here?
Yeah.
It's diversity, equity, and
Oh, there
inclusion.
you go. Yeah.
What do you oppose? I mean, it's like when Kamsa and all these other demons were ruling, they would get rid of the brahmanas, they would get rid of the cows, they would get rid of the sacrifices. They wanted to kill Vedic culture. Krishna is the protector of the brahmanas and the cows. And they said, just disrupt the sacrifices, kill the brahmanas and the cows. And then because the brahmanas are dear to Krishna, then Krishna will be killed. And so that's what they're doing. They're like equity. What's wrong with equity? That Krishna is talking about that in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, like I'm equal to all, and you should look upon everyone as equal, be they women, men, black, brown, dog, elephant, dog eater. Everyone is the soul within their hearts, and so we should always worship Krishna in that way. See every living entity in this relationship with Krishna, his or her relationship with Krishna in their hearts. And that's the best way, Krishna says, to worship him. Because unless you see other living entities' relationship with Krishna, then we're kind of like we have a separatist mentality. When the Kanishta, the neophyte devotee, doesn't see, he only sees the deity in the temple. He doesn't see anybody, all the other devotees are the regular people. He just sees Krishna. But the more advanced devotee, he sees the devotee, he sees Krishna in the temple, and he sees the innocent people, he preaches to them, and then the envious people he just avoids. And so that way he can deal with everybody in a way that's favorable. Of course, a pure devotee, Mahatma, the greatest soul, he sees everyone as more advanced than him. Everyone's a devotee to that person. And but we're not there yet. So we have to, at least kind of rise to the second class, and then we can gradually make it up to become more and more advanced. But I'm glad you got a job, at least.
Yeah. Thanks.
And
it's just for a year. It's just a temp job.
Yeah. Well, that's a good amount of time.
Okay.
But it's tough. And it's, I'm afraid it's going to get even tougher in the coming months and years. So we just have to stick together as devotees and try to help each other, and financially, or we can encourage people who can't. I don't have that much money because I'm just an Uber driver, but we can always have each other's back as far as like listening and plotting and scheming together.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
Two heads are better than one.
Two heads are better than one.
How many heads does Brahman have?
Brahma has 4 heads.
All right, well then there you go.
Well, he didn't do anything. He just was the engineer of the universe. Krishna was actually the one that taught him how to create everything. And he was bummed out because he saw Krishna playing with the cowherd boys, and he said, I've wasted half of my life. I could have been a cowherd boy. Now I've got all this creative energy. I wanted to be a big creator. And now I've wasted 150 trillion years of my life. He was having a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I know how he feels.
And so we have to do what the best thing is. He prayed to Lord Chaitanya, and he actually he actually became a Haridas Thakur in his next life because he prayed to Lord Chaitanya.
Oh.
And he said, okay, Brahma, you're going to be born in a Muslim family, and I'm going to make all the other demigods drunk with Krishna's holy name, and you'll be there. And then he disappeared, and Brahma just fell down and started crying. But he took birth as Haridas.
Okay, that's good to know.
We can also take part in Krishna's pastimes. We don't. It doesn't have to be any kind of what's his name, Uddhava, he just prayed to be like a blade of grass outside of Vrindavan, so that when the devotees from Vrindavan would come out of the Vrindavan area, they would at least put the dust of their feet on his head. It's like that is so humble. And that's the way to approach everything, just that humility. I remember the first thing I remember from being, first time I read Prabhupada's books and I got any kind of feeling out of it. Prahlad Maharaj said, the only way you can attain Krishna consciousness is to have the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees on your head. And I felt like a rush throughout my whole body. And so I was so startled by it that I even told my mother.
You mean when you read it? When you read that?
When I read that part about, you have to put the dust on your head, I felt a physical feeling. And I was so startled by it, I had to tell my mom.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way when I hear it. I mean, I don't know if I quite feel like telling my mom, but when I hear it, I have a similar reaction. Like it feels very correct.
Yeah. It's truth. And when you understand that this is the absolute truth. And actually the first time I actually felt any kind of ecstasy was when I saw this black-bodied guru. His name was Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu. He's got many books out. He died back in like
96.
Yeah, but he was dancing.
Or 06. He didn't die in 96.
No, it was in the teens, I think. He was in Gita Nagari, and Radhanath Swami left the Festival Inspiration to go be with him when he was passing away. But he died of foot cancer, and a very painful death. And but Radhanath Swami was reading to him, and even though he was in like a bath just to cure the pain, he looked at Radhanath Swami and he said, "Even though I'm in so much pain, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else but right here with you, listening to you talk about Krishna." I mean, that's the level of attachment that the pure devotee has for Krishna, even though it might be in a bodily situation that's completely unbearable for anybody else. It doesn't matter because they're rightly situated, Yeah. Anyway, my wife is calling me for dinner, so I would like to thank you both for
Are you coming to see Mahatma Das on Thursday?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to film it, and because he's a great soul. And Michael Floor, he's like the backbone of that whole Kirtan center, He's like always there doing everything. He's like one of those Energizer Bunny devotees. Always going and going.
Going and going. Zoe, are you going to come on Thursday or are you working?
I have to do a show.
Okay.
I don't really want to do it, but I don't know. I'm debating whether I should go on it or not.
Okay. All right, then I guess I'll just drive myself.
Yeah, I really want to go, but
I wanted to talk to you about Lena, by the way.
Okay.
Can I call you when this is over?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'll see you later.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Haribo.